Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Coaching from the Couch. This is your Washington Commanders update, and I'm your host, CWall, checking in as I do each and every week during the NFL season to give you the latest and greatest information on the Washington Commanders. Now, I think I'm experiencing technical difficulties. I was like, wait, is the screen okay? So you all will have to let me know if you can see me and hear me just fine on the screen because I'm sitting here like, am I backwards or not? So chime in or drop in the chat if you can see me fine, if you can hear me fine, or if it looks like it's backwards because I can't really tell. Anyway, I see that somebody has jumped in. Like I said, I think I'm experiencing some technical difficulties. If not, that could just be me coming back from New Orleans and just all kinds of does this look okay? So you all chime in. This is some studio audience participation here to let me know that you can see me just fine. But jump on in, you all. This is the Washington Commanders update. Again, I'm your host, Candi Waller, here to bring you the latest and greatest information on the Washington Commanders. We have a lot to discuss, as always, because when do we not? When do we not have a lot to discuss? So I'm assuming you all can see me. I'm assuming you all can hear me. I'm assuming I don't look backwards or anything. So that's fantastic. If you're watching from the Facebook stream, make sure you all hit that love button and share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. If you're watching from YouTube, make sure you hit the thumbs up. You can absolutely still share the link and share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. And just say hello. Make sure you shout out Mama Waller and Papa Waller because they're always watching, you guys. They're always maybe either chiming in or watching later on to chime in. So you want to ensure that you're getting folks involved in the conversation. This is an opportunity to talk about it live, to talk about all of the things. So that's what we're going to do here. I have quite a bit of content that I want to share because when do I not? I always have a lot of content. What else is new? But we're going to get into some clips, make you feel like you were in New Orleans after the game. We're going to show a clip from Commanders quarterback Jaden Daniels after game press conference. I'm going to answer some questions. I did get some questions in advance, so I'm going to answer those. And then we're going to, use our clues, pull receipts, do all of the things so that we are making sure we're not missing any key details on what is happening and what the team is displaying, the progress, all of the things, you all. So with that being said, love button, fire emoji, if you are ready to get on into the conversation. If you are ready to get into the conversation, you could go ahead and say that. And then we're going to go ahead and get started. It's always okay to share exactly what you're thinking, how you're feeling. It's always all good. I don't have any challenges or issues with that at all. And I hope you all know that about me by now. So with that being said, let's go ahead into feeling like we were all there on the field at the end of the Washington Commanders, ending up with the W in what was a nail biter. Was anyone holding their breath? I almost forgot, trying to get the technical difficulties together. I almost forgot to play my favorite game. How could I have forgotten this? What's your one word, you all? What is your one word to describe how you are feeling about the Washington Commanders winning this nail biter of a game against the New Orleans Saints? And I see words coming through, and I do see a question that has come through that I know someone else sent me as well. So I will be answering that question later on in the episode. I see some of these one words coming through. Underwhelmed. Better. Wallace said she was like, I'm great. Corey Heyman says he's worried. Game certainly close. Until haven't felt this disgusted about a win. Good Lord. How y'all feeling this disgusted? Listen, I've already told y'all. Let me give you all a heads up on something. Commanders fans, I gave you all this heads up once the team got to 8 wins. And love button fire emoji, if you recall me saying this, it was simply this. The Commanders are now in the bonus. They're in the bonus. Year 1 recalibration. I have said this. Hey, look, now they're in the bonus, everybody. Okay. And there's a lot of great, I posted this in terms of the team's best start in the first 14 games since 1992, since the early 90s. You all have not seen this. Okay. I think I saw another stat around Dan Quinn and the success he's having in year 1. The only other head coach to experience this level of success in year 1 is George Allen. Okay. So while I have conversation and commentary and objectivity to bring to this conversation, you do understand that the team is in the bonus area right now. Okay. You do understand this. 9 wins. 9. 2 more than I predicted. And what do I always say? Oh, I am always abundantly pleased when I am wrong about something that is actually for the better of the collective. If I'm wrong about it, good. Great. Yes. So this is a very important point, folks. Because as much as we will be bringing objectivity to this conversation, as always, there's still room, much room for improvement on this team. Much room. A great deal of room of improvement to be made. Let me be very clear about that, because 2 things can be true. 2 things can be true. More than one thing can be true. And that is, yes, the team is in the bonus area as far as I'm concerned, based on what I'm seeing, based on where they are in real life and in reality. They're absolutely in the bonus area, and there is much room for improvement. For me and what I'm sharing with you all, what does that mean? That also means the team is in an excellent position and just laying the foundation for the next phase of the culture and what they want to build with inside that building and the community at large. There's some things to work on. Not gonna act like there isn't, because there, yes. But just think about the perspective of, look at how much there is to improve upon in your 9 wins in year 1. That's remarkable. Okay? That is remarkable. I'm shocked. I am. So, is anybody still on the Adam Peters train? I don't want anybody, please, just, if I ever get too far off without giving some credit to Adam Peters, it's still there. And I say this, people say the next game will tell the tale. I want to acknowledge this. Listen, these 9 wins have already told you. You're in a good spot. And the Philadelphia Eagles are smoking right now. All right? They smoking. We're going to go ahead. Hey, objectivity is key. And I will always lead with that. Objectivity and authenticity. Those two. I will lead with that always. They smoking right now. Okay? They just are. It is what it is. And they have a lot of differences than the Commanders have right now. Right? Think about how long their coaching staff has been together. Think about how long their quarterback has been in place. Think about all of the pieces that they have. That's a very different. It's just different. They're not in the same space. And so with that being said, I you know, I've shared with you all in past love button fire emoji. If you heard me all tell you, it was before week 5. And I shared with you all that I was having a conversation in the hallway with General Manager Adam Peters and Head Coach Dan Quinn. And they wanted fans to come out to the games. And I said, hey, listen, sometimes the fans they feel hurt, right? They feel hurt. They feel traumatized. A lot of them talk about PTSD. They're scared to come out. They're scared to put the feelings on their sleeve again. They're afraid of it. I said, we understand. But we don't have anything to do with that. Okay? We don't have anything to do with that. And they're right. They don't. They really, really do. And I see this question here. I think everyone can answer this question before we go into some clips, right? I think we can all admit and say this is true. And I'm going to, yes, they do. And they've been down this road before, right? They have been down this road before, many of them, in recent years. And so that's okay. That's okay. Look at the record. Commanders fans, see, I'm being serious right now. You haven't had a start to cheer for like this since 1992. And some of the people that watch this show weren't even born yet. So that means you have not experienced this kind of start in your whole life. This is the first time you've ever seen this. 1992. Write it down on a piece of paper and understand how long that has been. There's folks right here on this show right now, or you're going to watch it later, and you're going to say, you know what? She's right, because I wasn't born in 92. I was born in 99. I was born in 97, right? So it hurts to hear that stat. It hurts. But guess what? It hurts. But guess what? You're still here. You're still here. You've endured and you've waited for this moment. So you're complaining about what exactly? What are you really complaining about in real life? Now, if there's things to talk about that need improvement, but you're talking 9 wins in when you know there's some big gaps in performance. There are big gaps. There are rooms to improve. But being able to say that and be at 9 wins, not in the whole season, 9 wins with 3 more games to go. That's impressive. That is impressive. And I want to acknowledge this comment here because everybody's been complaining all year about Benjamin St-Juste. But guess what? Best start ever. The team has managed to still make things shake. Talk about turning lemons into lemonade, because that's what it is. That's what it is. And that is a testament to the coaching staff and them really trying to hone in on where the players are successful. And I see this comment here that I must acknowledge. The team is ahead of schedule. Enjoy the ride. I'm talking about they like 2-3 years ahead, which is excellent. Excellent, excellent. It really is. barring any injury, because now the injury bug is starting to hit. That's starting to hit. It's starting to freak everybody out. So be on guard with that, because that is a very important point. But let's go ahead and move to what I said I was going to share. And that was feeling like you were there on the field. Let's see if I can work this kink out with the technology to share with you all some on the field fun after the Commanders' 1-point win over the New Orleans Saints. Check this out. Listen, it's always a lot of love shown before the game, after the game, love button, fire emoji if you enjoyed that clip, feeling like you were there at the end of the game, or making sure you all could see the clip. Because I always think those things are cool to watch. So let me know you all saw that clip, because I'm like, what's happening? It's new, back from the bye, nail biter game. What in the world is happening? I will say, and this is a moment of transparency after the game. I was talking to London Fletcher, and he, when I walked up, he told me, he said, Candi, your face, the facial expression you're giving right now is basically like how everybody is feeling. And I was like, I don't think I know how to feel. He said, that's exactly what your face is saying. I was like, what? Woo! Wow. Whoa. So I had a great conversation with him, because whenever I engage the legends and the alumni, I always go right into, because we're still working. And so when I have an opportunity to talk to them, I'm going right into all the things that I'm processing very quickly and wanting to understand more from someone who has played the game. And again, I'm going to pressure test myself. Whatever I hear or see something, I want to ask them, current players, coaches, retired players and coaches, is this what I saw? Am I right in thinking this way? And all of those things. So we'll get into a bit of that in a moment. I'm trying to see where I want to go with this. I think where I'm going to go is in showing another clip. Love button, fire emoji. If you were able to see it, I'm pretty sure you all were able to, I think. But I shared a reel last week. And I'm going to go ahead and get into this reel that I shared about a question I asked Jaden last week about the offensive line. So I want to share this reel. If you haven't seen it, I want to share it here. And then what I know you all haven't seen that I want to make sure you stick around for is last week, based on Jaden's response to my question about the offensive line, I said, I want to talk to a few of the O-linemen and just get their reaction and their take on the response that Jaden gave me. And I didn't get to talk to all of the O linemen, and I held on to it because I said, well, I'll wait until I talk to everybody. But after yesterday's game and, Tyler Biotage not playing and all of that happening kind of in real time, right? Like as they just got to the arena and all of that going down, I said, you know what? I think I want to share some of these one-on-ones on the show tonight because it's an important point, and I want to tie this thread together on how important this group is to the success of the offense. And you all know that I've talked about this and all throughout the season. And we all talked a lot about it before the season in terms of being concerned if this line even makes sense. And they've hey, again, you're in the bonus zone, everybody. Bonus zone. So wanting to just look at it and say they've exceeded these expectations or they proved me wrong, straight up. So I'm going to share this clip. And then there's about a 5-minute or so of one-on-ones that I had with some of the offensive linemen last week that I want to share with you all. And oh, what a difference, because we've seen the line be very versatile. We've seen some players move around. We've seen some of them have to come out of the game for a couple snaps and go back in. We know that some have been out for games. But Tyler Biotage being out, that made a difference. So let's share these clips. Let's get into this conversation because I'm going to tell you the clues that I saw when I'm using mine. And I'm like, oh, the muscle. That's the 5 moving as one. That is a critical piece of this conversation. Because I will also say there's been many conversations before games and pre-warm-ups. I have not known of Adam Peters being a part of any of those conversations, in the past. But he was absolutely a part of this one. Because this was a serious conversation. Serious conversation. And I think if everybody is doing, where's my clip now? Where's my clip? Where's my clip? Hold on, because it's my favorite one too. This is one of my favorites. If you are really using your clues, everybody learned the muscle just might be Tyler Biotage. They mean all of them. But having to not having to enter that game, not having practiced without him, right? With the ones and all of that, that made an impact. So check out this reel. Let me know how you like it. And then I'm going to share these one-on-ones with you from last week because I think there's some important nuggets in there. Not about being sick or anything happening with Tyler being out, because that was completely unexpected. Okay, he was not sick last week. Let me just be very clear on that. Because I don't think he would have been up for an interview or talking to me. So if he was, but no, that wasn't the case. But let's check this out. More fun content and videos here, and we'll jump right back on into it.
Hey, Jaden. Andrew Wiley is back a full participant in practice today. So what can you say about just the overall offensive line? There's been a lot of shifts there due to injuries. So what can you say about that line at this point in the season?
They're the GOATs. Obviously, they help protect me, so I love those guys to death. And just be able to see the versatility of people throughout the offensive line and be able to go out there and communicate and gel together. That goes back to outside of football, them hanging out, them communicating, talking, within the locker room, all of us being on the same page to go out there and perform.
So let me know your thoughts on that clip, that reel that I just shared, because I definitely, I love Jaden's response. Hey, they the GOATs. I love those guys to death. And you see it. He already mentioned how they operate in the locker room, but let me pull in these one-on-ones. This is about 5 minutes or so, because I did a few one-on-ones. But as you all are listening to these one-on-ones, use your clues. And what are you hearing them say? What are some of the common themes and just the message of the experience that they're having in this locker room, working together within their position group and protecting their quarterback, Jaden Daniels. Check it out. Okay, Bowie TV watchers, the kind of conversation continues. I'm standing here with Washington Commanders offensive lineman Nick Allegretti. So yesterday, Nick, I asked Jaden Daniels about the offensive line, and you all have been experiencing some injuries and some moving around, and his first response back to me was, they're the GOATs. So with that being said, what is it like being a part of this position group and protecting for a quarterback like Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, first I guess the position group's been awesome. Really just a cool group to play with. A lot of veteran guys, and then, I mean, Brandon's been an awesome rookie. Incredibly mature, handles the pressure well of playing, arguably one of the hardest positions in this sport, a left tackle, and doing it at a high level at a young age. So that's been awesome. And then, yeah, playing for Jaden's been great. I mean, he's a competitor, loves football, and then just kind of, he does his thing, and there's times that, we're going to get beaten. If he gets hit, we hate that. We don't want that to happen, but it's never, he's never, upset with us. It's like, hey, next play, move on. We've got his back. We know he has our back, and we're going to move on, make sure he doesn't hit the next play. And we always have a chance. He's a competitor, and he gives us a chance to win ball games every time we take the field. So it's been pretty cool playing with him.
Okay, Bowie TV watchers, I'm sure by now you all know who this is. This is Commanders offensive lineman. I guess you're still a rookie. Long season.
Yeah.
You're still a rookie, Brandon Coleman. So, Brandon, yesterday I asked Jaden in his press conference about the offensive line, and I said, there's been a lot of movement, a lot of injuries going on so far throughout the season, and his first response back to me was, they're the GOATs. So can you share what it's been like, just working and going to battle with these guys on the offensive line and protecting for Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, man. I feel like this is like one of the best groups that you can be around, especially as a rookie coming in. You have to have that nervousness. You don't know how it's going to be, but them and even just the whole group, they've been very good about just working me in, making me feel like I'm part of the team and not really like a rookie. Obviously, I have the duties I got to do, but they've been really good about just helping me out. Even on the field when I have questions, everybody has an answer for me, trying to look out for me. It's like a brotherhood. Like even when we're on the field, off the field, we like to hang out with each other, go out to eat, and that translates to the field. And then being able to protect a guy like Jaden, guy that goes to work every day, giving his all in practice. As mature as he is as a rookie, the way that he goes about things, you want to go out and protect for those types of guys. He plays his ass up for us. So I'm really same for him.
Thank you. Okay, Bowie TV watchers, I'm standing here with Washington Commanders center Tyler, pronounce your last name for me. Seriously.
Biadasz.
I've been saying it right the whole time. I feel really good about myself.
Yep.
Okay, that's fantastic. I've been saying it right the whole time.
There you
Just
go.
trying to
Appreciate
make
it.
sure it's clear.
Yeah.
I did want to ask.
No,
So I am asking potentially all of the offensive linemen. We'll see in a moment. But yesterday I asked Jaden Daniels about the offensive line. You all have experienced, a few injuries this season,
Sure.
a lot of moving around. And the first thing he said out of his mouth was, they the GOATs.
What'd you say?
They're the GOATs. So, with that being said, can you share what it's like being a part of this position group and just protecting for a quarterback like Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, no, I mean, you always have a little bit of adversity, obviously, physicality and the violence of the sport and everything. But at the same time, we've gotten to come back, and we've had guys step up, and we've been getting put in positions even through OTAs and camp for situations that could come up, right, and everything. And I think we've done a great job of filling in, or whoever's banged up or whatever the situation is. But no, obviously first and foremost is obviously to protect Jaden, protect our quarterback, and his ability to do what he does. And I think the appreciation goes both ways. So we work in tandem. Same with whoever's getting the ball, right? And it's all 11, and that's just the appreciation and the effort that we play with. It's all 11 of us doing our job in all three phases of the game, and hats off to each and every one of us to doing our job to the best of our ability each and every play. So
Thank you so much.
yeah.
I am standing here with Cornelius Lucas, one of the Commanders' offensive linemen. So yesterday, I asked Jaden Daniels about the offensive line, and his response back, like very first thing he said was, "They the goats."
Okay.
And then he gave another, some more, explanation on why he called you all that. So can you just share what is it like being in this offensive line position group and protecting for a quarterback like Jane Daniels?
So I started off with brotherhood for sure. We kind of like feed off each other. Our group is very tight knit. We laugh, we joke, we eat together, and we take pride in protecting five. We take pride in getting our jobs done. We take pride in not being seen but heard. You know what I'm saying? Very powerful group, very skillful group. A bunch of guys that love to work and know what they're doing.
So I hope you all enjoyed some of that. And I want to acknowledge Lamar Bland. Lamar actually sent me a few questions, which we're going to get to those very soon. And some of the clues I shared, I'll go back to some of the comments that you all caught. Stephen Askin said, brotherhood. Lamar mentioned they clearly draw inspiration from their rookie QB. You all have heard that message from Terry McLaurin as well. And they don't play about JD5. And Jaden absolutely gives them inspiration when he comes out there with the attitude that he has. Attitude meaning he is a competitor and he's the best player out on the field. They definitely take pride in that. I'm so certain no one is more disappointed in not being able to play than Tyler Biotage. And of course, I always have a thing with players, as you probably all heard me say it when I interviewed Olamide Zaccheaus, or at any time, if they have a name, it's like, what you say again? I do that with them. It's part of like the building camaraderie and everything. But they are serious about doing their job. And when it doesn't work out that way, because you're not going to win them all, you're not going to win every matchup, it's tough. We'll probably continue the conversation with some more of the offensive linemen, but I said, you know what? I think this is well-timed. Not that anyone expected one of the offensive linemen to be out again on Sunday, but it is certainly speaks to that position group, how they feel about one another, how they feel about the team, how they feel about protecting Jaden. And it's genuine. So I just think all of those things are super important to highlight and acknowledge. And speaking of which, I do have a clip here of Jaden Daniels after game presser. This is around 2 minutes long. Definitely drop in the chat any comments, takeaways that you kind of glean and are locked in on once you hear what Jaden says within this clip. And then I want to get into some of the questions. I think I may have shared on my post that I don't think the Dan Quinn's press conference was streamed today. So I do have transcript. So I'll share that with you all because we still have a lot to discuss. We have a lot to talk about. We had to talk about Marshawn Lattimore, right? We have to talk about the upcoming games, right? We have to talk about what happened. Because we still got it. We still haven't gotten into the specifics of the game. Because yes, I'm going to give you the roses and the rainbows. Because there's a lot of roses and rainbows, way more roses and rainbows than you probably are think. But I also have to give you the objective room to improve. So with that being said, let's jump to Jaden's after game press conference. Just a clip around 2 minutes from after the game yesterday.
And you guys seem to be in control of the game a little bit, and then just kind of hit a wall. What do you think is happening there?
Yeah, everybody on the offensive side got to be better. It starts with me, with the details, getting the guys focused, getting myself focused, and just hammering the details of little things when maybe exhaustion or things aren't going your way. You go back to your technique and your fundamentals.
To lose Tyler just before the game, I mean, what was sort of going through your mind, and what sort of adjustment does it take on your behalf there?
I mean, obviously, I was a loss not being able to have Tyler, but Dieter came in and stepped in and did his job, and it wasn't too much to think about. It was like, hey, we still got to go out there and play ball. Can't worry about who's snapping the ball, why Tyler isn't playing. I got a job to go out there and handle.
True sacks, but just what's kind of your taking 8 sacks?
I mean, I got to be able to get the ball in my hands and help the O-line out. I mean, I put that on me. It's not all on the O-line. I got to be able to do better back there in the pocket, maneuver in the pocket.
Obviously, go as the next man up mentality, but you already were that knowing Austin, then Zach Ertz goes out. How was the challenge? What was the challenge for you? What so many new faces, or not new, but different faces?
Yeah, I mean, it was good for those guys to get more experience. Obviously, losing guys vets that have experience in this league, so it was good to see those guys come in and step up and make plays down the stretch.
Jake, did you notice at the end of the game that the clock froze on 9 seconds for like 3 or 4 seconds?
No, I did not. I mean, it don't really matter to me. We go down and we score. We're not in that situation, so that's kind of where my focus was.
The new guy on the block, but this is the first time this franchise has had a winning campaign since 2016. What does that mean to Jaden Daniels?
I mean, I like winning. I know a lot of people like to win. I mean, nobody wants to lose, but I'll say I like winning, and, we just keep building from here.
So you all listen, accountability at its best, right? And we're going to get into these amazing questions that Lamar Bland sent over to me. Love button, fire emoji if you are still locked in. This is the Washington Commanders Update Live. I am your host, Candi CWall. This is a Bowie TV live recording. Did I tell you all this was live? You should know this already if you're watching it. But if you end up watching it on TV, hello, Verizon Channel 11, Comcast Xfinity Channel 77. We do this after every game during the season, and there's so much season left, I feel like. We'll see if I'm correct about that. It's just a lot going on, I feel like. But let's jump into these questions because we still got a lot to do and talk about. All right, here we go. How did this defense still manage to give up chunk plays on the ground and through the air after Marshawn Lattimore successfully locked down one side of the field? So I think that it's a couple things that I'm laughing, right? Because if we're being reflective and objective, this is something that we've seen. We've seen this, right? We saw it in the Steelers game. We saw it in the Bears game. Saw it in the Dallas game. You saw it toward the end of the Eagles game as well. And let's go back. Hey, let's go back. Ooh, make a song out of it, out of nothing. And here's the thing. I've just been like singing and making up songs in my head. I'm not real sure what that's about, but sounds good wanting to sing it out loud in front of everybody right now. But I want to go back to, I hope I still have it. Maybe I can find it. If not, I'm in trouble. And maybe I won't find it. Maybe I don't have it anymore. I do have it. I asked Coach Witt on Thanksgiving, and there was some audio challenges with this clip. But I'm going to play it here because I think it's an important point. And then I'm going to continue on with Lamar's first question because I certainly have thoughts. I mean, first things first. The Saints know who they gave up in Marshawn. So that's just them being smart and not throwing the football his way. Understanding that someone who's got a point to prove, like, you really gonna trade me? That's just not taking the risk. And I agree with them on that. The challenge becomes, Well, wait a minute. They were still able to get off these explosive plays when half of the field is gone. And some of this goes back to playing 60 minutes of football. The other goes back to it was simply very clear to me, and talking to Saints media and then just understanding the landscape with the New Orleans Saints, that many people wanted Spencer Rattler to start that game. The decision for the team to start Jake Haener, people really couldn't understand. They were like, why? Spencer should. And it should be, Spencer should be absolutely starting this football game. It was clear to me, and I'm paraphrasing now, because the Saints interim coach made a comment in saying, once they saw the scoreboard at half, they said, we can win this football game. They made a switch, as oftentimes people do, because they already knew if we got to go man, or they just going to beat them. We got guys that can beat them on that side of the field. We're not even going to play with Marshawn because we know we know who that guy is. We know who that guy is. We're not even going to play. But the reality is, unfortunately, if the Commanders, and this has not been just a yesterday thing. Again, I'm going to name some games just off the top of my head. The Bears game, the Eagles game, the Steelers game, the Cowboys game, where while they are still within reach, you can hit this defense with some explosive plays and win and beat them. That has been a recurring theme of the Commanders' defense. If you're banking on Jaden Daniels led offense to start hitting on all cylinders, because that's basically what the coach was saying. Like, once they looked at the scoreboard, they like, hey, we actually can win this football game because they haven't put as many points up. Let's get Spencer out there. And I'm going to tell you something else that was a huge red flag. When Spencer Rattler came out there in the second half, the crowd went bonkers. They were cheering. They were excited. It was like they knew, oh, yeah, we got a chance now, because the scoreboard was close. And I said to myself, this is not good, because the man just walked out there and the crowd has come alive. So it's not like we haven't seen this defense get got on a couple of explosive plays, because the Commanders defense been giving them up all season. I'm just going to say that, because that's what's been happening. And I think what has been transpiring is that there's been so much focus. There's two things I think that's happening. One, I believe that Coach Joe Witt Jr., I think, well, let me also say this. Again, this is objective Candi talking, because if I'm being objective, I will tell you this coaching staff is straight up. They're going to tell you what they can share publicly. And one of the things that, if you don't listen to Coach Joe Witt Jr., he comes out with just saying all the things he did wrong and the moments he can take back. You don't have to ask him. He's going to just straight up tell you. And I think probably the difference in his communications approach, on top of the fact that I think because Cliff Kingsbury has had more of a public display because he's been a head coach, it's just and because of Jaden Daniels, there'll be more emphasis on what Cliff Kingsbury is or is not doing versus what Joe Witt Jr. is or is not doing. When the reality is you need to both of them need to be held accountable, because there has definitely been times where the offense did exactly what they were supposed to do. Matter of fact, let me name another game, the Baltimore Ravens game, because Joe Witt Jr. said out of his own mouth, the offense did what they were supposed to do. We did not execute the way we were supposed to do. So it has to be across the board. And once the same, because here's the thing, and you all have been hearing me say this. Tanking is a general public conversation. Coaches and players still have something to play for. And the Saints still had a chance. They were still up high in the percentage. And they hadn't been playing terrible per se, not in recent weeks, right? So, scoreboard close, they got a chance. We're going to make a switch because it was obvious. And I actually posted this. I want to see how I didn't say anything. I said, I want to see how Coach Joe Witt Jr. responds to this quarterback switch because I could already read the room. They about to get them with some explosive plays. They're not ready for Spencer Rattler, and they know it. This Saints coaching staff, they saw the mismatches that could be possible. The scoreboard was close, and they said, we're going to give this a shot. And it almost worked out for them. It really did. Because they weren't ready for him. They just weren't ready for the switch. Now, if he was starting out right, then perhaps. But I just think they weren't ready for the switch. They got him with things that they've been got with all season long. The plays were similar. Actually, when you think about it. So, I really... Let me go back to the clip. Use your clues. Do you all remember when I asked Coach Witt about this? Excuse the audio challenges, but just take a listen. Ask Coach Witt this on Thanksgiving.
Coaches, everyone else has said happy Thanksgiving.
All right, same to you.
You mentioned last week about the 53 minutes of good football, and I think that was against the Eagles, and then you mentioned it again around 3/4 of good, solid defensive football from the defensive side. So what kind of goes into just the overall readiness to play 60 minutes of what you would define as the brand of football you all want to play?
Well, there's multiple things that you can look at. From my standpoint, I got to do a good enough job of saying, okay, am I leaving enough calls in the second half that we didn't run in the first half that they haven't seen? Are we making the proper adjustments, which I think we have, because typically the third quarter the points aren't up either. It's the fourth quarter, and then the gotta have it moments. Do we really understand from a player to coach to coach what we're going to do, how we're going to execute it, what they're going to do? For the most part, we understand what they're going to do, but we all have to be on the exact same page, and there can't be any hesitation. And so we're working to make sure that we can get the whole 60 minutes together. The guys are playing hard, but playing hard is just the beginning of it. All right, it's the details and executions. Everybody in this league going to play hard. All right, we have to make sure that we finish it. So we're working at it, and hopefully it'll come true this week. Yes, ma'am.
Again, thank you all for bearing with the sound quality. As I mentioned, there was a challenge with the team audio on that one on Thanksgiving Day. But I asked that question because it's been a challenge all season long. And the explosive plays, some of the just, it's like, the film is out there. Some of the plays were very similar, unfortunately. And I think I'm going to also say this. And Coach Quinn talked about this after the game and also today in the press conference. And we'll get to some of that in a moment as well. Those penalties hurt. Now, to the point of the minimal snaps, it's not even minimal, low snaps that Benjamin St. Juste had, goes out there, hands to the face, illegal hands to the face penalty. The 2 on Dante Fowler, Coach Quinn did have feedback on that, right? He's like, you just got to go lower. I think the first one was just Like, I can't even believe this. But I don't think I don't agree with either one of them. The second one, I can see why they called it. I would not have if it were me. However, I can see it. The first one, absolutely not. Benjamin St. Juste goes out there, hadn't even been in the game all day mostly, and gets that illegal hands to the face penalty. The roughing the unnecessary roughness, roughing the I think Dorrance Armstrong got one. We know that Dante Fowler got two. Those were tough. And once a team is able to get down the field due to penalties, you're in trouble. You are in trouble because it doesn't even take you that many plays and again, I'm going to go back to the point that these are recurring themes. We saw the exact same thing, especially at the beginning of that Steelers game. That is how the Steelers scored their first 14 points. It was because they got down the field on penalties and were able to execute on explosive plays. That's what happened. And then, of course, they came back. Jaden, the offense gets you up 24-14. You end up losing by 1 point. Right? So you have to keep those things in mind that the things that we're seeing, they aren't new. I think what we may have seen on the Saints game that was new was a game without Tyler Biotish. That's what you saw that was a little different. The season high sacks, some of the just, disjointedness. Again, let's be clear. They won. So I'm not here. If they would have lost, maybe my tone would be a little different. But to have all of those challenges arise and they win, that's not no, that doesn't normally happen with this franchise. And so I don't think, and if let's go back to using the clues because the numbers are there. The occurrences are there. We didn't imagine it. We saw it. We all watched it together. It was a different offensive line for certain without Tyler Biotish, and they did not practice without center Tyler Biotish. That mattered. Going back to the clip that I shared with Jaden admitting holding the ball, needing to execute differently in some areas, those things mattered. The challenge becomes, we've now seen this a few times, that when the offense is struggling to really get going, the inability for the defense to play 60 minutes comes back to bite them. And that's been happening all season. Where you might be alarmed is that it's been a problem that's always been there. The Saints, or Marshawn Lattimore as a one-man show cut off half the field, and it was still a problem. It's something to watch. That's all. Now, Marshawn Lattimore's his season starts next week. His season starts next week. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Okay. The Eagles don't care about that. All right. We're going to beat you. We're going to beat all of y'all. Because that's the type of time that they are clearly on. We'll get to that later. Because they definitely on the, we don't care about who is who and what. All y'all going to get beat. Okay, next question from Lamar. Do you think talent alone is the only thing holding this team back, or do you think this staff decision-making still needs to improve before bringing in reinforcements next year? This is a moment for me to, again, level set and temper your expectations, okay? You're in the bonus area. Okay, you're in the bonus area. This is 9 wins in. You haven't had this experience since the 1900s, the late but early 1990s. Okay, it feels like the early 1900s because it was so long ago. But 1992 to be exact is the last time you've experienced this. When we talk about year one, it's not just for the players; it's for the coaches. Right? give them an opportunity. Because listen, they've actually staffed the roster. I mean, no, let me go back. The coaching staff with coaches that things wasn't working out in other cities, right? And it's working out here. But let's be clear about something. Going back to Marshawn Lattimore. Don't think this team isn't going to make every opportunity to try to get better. Okay? This team, I mean, have they really done something to upset you? Like, seriously. You really think about it, you'd be like, oh, right? But it just goes to show the love and the passion that you all have for this fan base. And you want to see them do well. And Lord knows, I'm going to just be honest with you. I do too. I'm like, you know what? Y'all all right with me. I really hope y'all do well and do big things. So year one, and not even a full year. Not even a full year. It's not been a full year because I had to remind myself that Dan Quinn's introductory press conference, I did not attend Dan Quinn's introductory press conference because I was on my way to Las Vegas for the Super Bowl. And I missed it. And I was like, see, now that's my pal, right? And so this hasn't been a full year, everybody. So I told you, I gave you all the heads up. Once I was wrong and they hit 8, I said, I'm just going to remind y'all you in the bonus. And to say that wait to bring in reinforcements, no way. Like I said, example being, look at the practice squad signings. Look at the trade they made for Marshawn Lattimore. And let's be real clear about something. If you all haven't already, if you follow my good friends with All Pro Reels, they have a clip of after the end of the game. Nobody was happier than Adam Peters for Marshawn Lattimore. I mean, the man picked Marshawn up. He picked him up off the ground. He was so excited. And all I could do was laugh because I was like, you know what? London was right. My facial expression definitely was probably like, I don't know. Am I supposed to be upset? I mean, no, because they won. So, but seeing how happy Adam Peters was, oh my gosh, I don't know. I see him happy often. But I knew Adam Peters wasn't one to play with. Because after week 1, when they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you want to talk about a mad group of people? Whoa. So, hey, look, there's no need to, don't fret. Don't fret. I feel like because of the decades of PTSD, everybody's trying to find something wrong. Again, 2 things could be true. You could be in the bonus and understand that there's improvements that must be made. And that's where you all are. Okay? It's okay. It's not all doom and gloom. Definitely not doom and gloom. No way. Was this the same question I just asked? I don't even know. Oh, no, wait. We kind of already answered this. Why does this defense play so lights out in the first half, but then break so easily in the fourth quarter? Why does that energy carry over? Go back to my question to Coach Joe Witt. Use your clues. Play it on repeat if you have to, because he laid out exactly what they need to do. No, they still haven't done it yet because they still haven't mastered it. They still haven't gotten there, but they'll get there at some point. 9 wins in. I'm going to keep reminding you because I think it's a good thing. Did you like the decision to kick a 51-yard field goal to put the game out of reach, or did you prefer to punt and make Rattler go the length of the field? I'm going to tell you this. Moment of transparency. Love button, fire emoji if you want me to be really honest with you all about something. In my mind, they were screwed either way. Okay? I'm going to tell you why. And Jaden actually said it before I have to say it right here. And that was, they should have scored touchdowns. At that point, there had been two, Jaden and Terry had been off. Was it at that point? I don't know if that strike to Diami had happened yet and had to come back because of a holding penalty. They were screwed either way. It didn't matter to me. Either whatever the decision was, it didn't matter to me. It really didn't. I mean, only because they should have scored a touchdown. Like, they should have scored a touchdown. At that point, the offense already had too many opportunities to score a touchdown. So once that happens, I'm like, and I posted this, again, a moment of transparency. I said it. Oh, only the Lord can help them now. Because they're not helping themselves. So the Lord will have to intervene on this one. Because I meant that because Spencer Rattler is just coming out here destroying this defense. What in the world? Touchdowns. So I think the result would have been the same either way. Touchdown, you're not even having that conversation because it doesn't matter. But they didn't score accordingly. So, and as Mama Waller has chimed in with her, he did it. She's talking about the Lord because he absolutely did. Because that was a close call, let me tell you. Okay, this one right here. This is the one. Something to watch or nothing to see. Jamison Crowder stepped into the lineup and seemingly took targets away from Luke McCaffrey. Ooh, a hush goes over the crowd. Wow, did you all notice that? Lamar Bland did. Crowder played 27% of the snaps. Okay. McCaffrey played. Okay. All right. Thoughts? Now look at Lamar using his clothes. Okay. And you saw the change at punt return. Kick return as well. You saw that. They talk a lot about Jamison Crowder's veteran expertise and his veteran experience. I think it's something to watch because Noah Brown is out. You get a asset back. I don't like to call them weapons. Y'all know this, right? I don't like to call them weapons anymore. I call them assets. So you're getting an asset back. But they're all assets. But you're getting an asset. I mean, I do think it's something to watch, but I just think it's evident who they're going to use in certain situations. I would like to say what also is a very important point is how many is Terry played a lot. And the targets were definitely there for him. And at the top of the game, you saw it working really well, and then you didn't see it work as well. I want to say this, and thank you for this, Lamar. But I want to engage on this right here, and that is sometimes it's exactly this. It's the experience. It's December. And I asked Coach about this today because he mentioned about December and January football. This is different. This is starting to get a little different. And not only that, now teams are experiencing injuries. There's a lot going on, but it gets intense. And like I said, people are playing for playoffs, they're playing for jobs, they all the things. So this isn't like a favoritism. I got to roll with who's going to give me the best opportunity based on who I have right now. And that veteran experience is going to have to kick in. It's going to have to kick in. And it's just, and it's not about impression. It's not about who's impressive. It is simply about who has the experience to get through, to do this. And Jamison Crowder is a veteran, a very experienced veteran. So just watch. See how this goes. Next week is a big week. All of the weeks are a big week. Let me stop saying next week is a big week, like every week isn't a big week. Every single game is big. As we are going into this playoff era, what's the conversation every single week? The standings. Who's playing who's doing this, all these, puzzle pieces going all around, making everybody crazy. Don't you just, that game, who's gonna give us the best opportunity to win? And like this comment says, it's not favoritism. They like all these guys a lot. People trying to win football games. That's all. And I actually had not answered this question. So I appreciate this question on Biotish being healthy or still sick. Again, today's press conference was not streamed, so you all didn't get a chance to see it. He is trending upward. Dan Quinn said, okay, he's doing better. That doesn't mean to say he's well, but he's doing better. And they are expecting him to be available on Sunday. So let's just hope he continues to be on the upswing there. Let me go to any idea why Jaden Daniels switched his cleats during the half. I found it odd since they were playing inside a dome. Here's the interesting thing. I didn't find it odd. You want to know why? Because I saw him slip one too many times. He slipped one too many times out there. And I said, he got to change his shoes. Something's going on with those shoes or that turf. So when he changed them, I said, I knew I wasn't imagining things. He slipped. Because he slipped when to that play to Terry. And I was like, what? But he slipped a couple times. So I was just like, you know what I mean? It's fine. And so it's not a big deal. I don't think there's anything to see. But hey, you gotta. Sometimes it's in the shoes. It is in the shoes. Sometimes it is. So, given his success this season with the Packers and our weekly carousel, do you still think releasing Brandon McManus was the best decision for this football team? Yes, I do. Love the question, and I've seen that narrative going around online. Like, oh, they should have just kept Brandon McManus. No, not necessarily. And I'm gonna tell you why. I said it back then when it all went down. It was too important for the culture and what you wanted to stand by from a culture perspective. And now these are things that you have to consider, right? Your standards and understanding the history, understanding the now and who you want to be. And because of what was going on, yeah, sure, everything got dropped and all that. But hey, listen, we tied to this culture right now. We are tied to a way of who we want to be, and he's a great kicker. That's why AP went out and got him. But it wasn't worth what they're building from a culture perspective. And so wholeheartedly, they made the right decision because there's not any foolishness going on. Here's another question. Could KJ Osborne play this Sunday? Yeah, sure. He could. And he also could not. I'm not, he could and he could not. So that, he could. And we shall see if he does. Let's see. Let's go on. Better or worse, how do you feel about our chances beating Philly? No, we didn't play our best game yesterday. Here's how I feel. I feel like they got to lose at some point because all teams do. Be better for them to lose in the regular season. I guess it's for everybody, right? Well, not really. You could win the Super Bowl, but at some point, after a certain time of year, once you lose, then you're gone. You've gone home. The season is over for you. The Philadelphia Eagles are, again, I said this earlier in the episode, they are smoking right now. They are so good. And I was, it is what it is. This is objective Candi talking. I'm going to give you the real spill. I don't have anything negative to say about them, for real. I think that the Commanders are itching for an opportunity for the rematch. Them and Dallas. Very important. Each game, very important. Atlanta. It's a game that people aren't talking about, but that game is very important. All of them. And so if you follow the great David Aldridge, you can tag him, tell him I'm talking about him. We had a conversation a few weeks ago, and he has a theory. Hey, they win 10 games, they're in the playoffs. Does it really matter the seed? No, because all the playoff games are hard. Okay? All of them are hard. So whichever, they wouldn't be at home anyway. So I think that it's going to be, I don't know. I think it's going to be, I really don't know. It's going to be an interesting football game. The Eagles are hot right now. And you're seeing other teams in the NFC experience some injuries, and they hot right now. They hot. And so of course, people are like, I hope the Commanders beat them. But if we're being objective, the offense would definitely have to be way better than they were Thursday night football, right? Because we do know that was a game that the offense struggled. Jaden Daniels struggled. He was dealing with an injury at the time, or he was, dealing with some things. It was a short week. So they need that back. And this is the week. If ever the defense was going to play 60 minutes of football, this was the week, because they held them as long as they could. And that was absolutely the game where Coach Witt said he thought the defense played excellent football, great football, the brand of football they want to play for 53 minutes. And the remainder, the Eagles made them pay for it. It doesn't take long to score, seriously. So they can see it. The other team, the opposing team, can see when you're getting weary. They can see when you're getting tired, when you starting to, lean a little bit, and they can play on that. So especially if Jaden is off. I'm going back to the Saints interim head coach there, and that was the thing. Once they realized that offense was off, they were like, "Oh, we can do this." So, if ever there was a week they needed to show improve and be an improvement time, this would be the week. This would be the week. So I could always be wrong, right? Because I was wrong about how many games they win this season, but I think they're going to beat them? No. Can they? Yes. But they got to clean up the things that they've been needing to clean up all season, and they need to be consistent at the things that they're really, really good at, which they have not been in this latter part of the season. So that's my answer to that. Now let's get into some of these areas right here. This is some quotes from Dan Quinn's press conference on how to judge Lattimore's impact when he doesn't show up in the stat sheet. And you all can take a look here at Dan Quinn's response, because there was a lot of conversation around, we didn't hear Marshawn Lattimore's name, but we didn't hear this, we didn't hear that. Nobody said, well, that's because they didn't throw that man away, because they not crazy like that. They wasn't willing to take that risk. They just want to leave him alone. Now, I do think that the Eagles going to take the risk, because they taking all the risk. They ready for the smoke. But the Saints were not ready for that. They know exactly who that is on that other side, and they didn't want to take that chance. It's a, but that part is a really good, like Dan Quinn says here, it's a clear signal of a really good game. So if you hear anybody that is a little disgruntled or feeling some type of way because they didn't hear Marshawn Lattimore's name enough, then that's too bad, number one. And number two, tell them, just educate them. Give them opportunity to learn something that day. I think that would be an important point, an important opportunity to educate. I think this is important here too. On the coaching points to Daniels to prevent sacks. You heard Jaden talk about this. I shared this clip earlier in the show about Jaden, his feedback overall right after the game. And so you can read through this comment here. A scramble that goes outside where there's going to be a loss or no gain. That's an easy throw out of bounds. So that resulted in 2. That means 2 sacks where he didn't throw it out of bounds. So he got sacked there, or that resulted in a sack. There was another one to hitch up and take the throw to the back. That would have been a completion. So just the difference, honestly, between, hey, this play is dead, and we're going to go on to the next one. You don't have to fight all the way through on every down. And so finding that space for a good competitor, it can be challenging, but it's also one that's really important, because if you're always scrambling and then you're getting into scramble pattern, so hitching up in the pocket, moving around when you can, but when it's not there, let's move on to the next down. I wanted to mention this. And I think when Lamar and I were having a conversation, I mentioned this to him. I said, and I think I posted it on a page, sometimes it doesn't have to be about the heroics. Jaden Daniels is an amazing competitor. Everybody has seen that. They know that he's bad. The boy is like that, for real. Seriously, like, good gosh, what in the world? But look, you're not gonna get all of them, and it's okay. You don't have to fight for all. You have to fight. Fight. Just throw it out of bounds. Throw it out, because if you throw it out, then you're not taking a sack. It's not considered a sack then. So that would have lessened the number. Yes, Tyler Biotic was missed. But let's, coaching moment. He's still a rookie. I know he doesn't play like it most days, but he's still a rookie. Coaching moment. It's all good. David Aldridge asked this question and on if he thought Brian Robinson Jr. got enough touches. So this is an important point, because I know everyone's talking about the run games. I do as well, right? And so Coach Quinn answered it here. You all can take a look through it. I'll read through it as well. I thought he got enough touches. The critical ones for us, as you know, are getting closer down to the goal line for him. He's got such unique power. And so, that is where they really like to use him in short yardage, right? And yes, excellent point to highlight, because now B-Rob has done this very well in the recent games. And he's doing a good job in protection on some of the blitzes. He really, really is. So shout out to B-Rob for that. And he's just a big piece of what the team does, as Coach Quinn has there. But he said there was the one spot in our game that I left wanting more after the game. On my flight home, on the way home, I was wanting more in that space. Not from the times that we called it, but from the execution of it. I think that last sentence is a very important point. Write it down in your notebook. It's important. Now, these last 2 were my questions. And I basically asked Coach about, because earlier in the presser, he asked, he made a comment about a tale of 2 halves. So I asked him about how he felt about the defense. First half, second half. So he says, well, I have to say the first half, I just loved it, honestly, for the guys to come out and really play strong, especially on the third down. I thought that was one of the emphasis we made. We really, really dug into that to say this is going to be how we want to play ball. So seeing the run game improve, that was a big deal for us to go. And then into the second half, I thought just some of the penalties or an explosive play, those are the ones that can extend a drive. And that's what we were talking about at the top of this episode. Some of those penalties kept the drive going. And so he says here, usually I'm okay with an aggressive foul that takes place. And Coach Quinn has talked to me about that in the past. You all may have remembered I've asked him those questions about the pre and post snap penalties. And sometimes he's okay with the combative ones like he has here. But the pre and post snap ones, that's where they don't want. So I think this is just an important point. I was really trying to get a sense too of just the feeling with the 2 different quarterbacks. But that didn't necessarily come out as much, maybe in my question as well as the response. But the Saints moved different. They absolutely moved differently. So that also resulted in more penalties. in the second half as well, because they had moved differently, because they had picked up their pace, because of those explosive plays. They were just going at them, but then they were getting these penalties, which, they were kind of lame. Coach had mentioned yesterday as well, after the game in his press conference, about what it takes to play successful football. It's hard in December and January. So once you really get into this is where you start to talk about weather. Because I don't know if anybody checked the weather for Sunday. Oh, first of all, it's December. December, January is cold. It's going to be very cold against the Eagles. So and I'm going to answer this question here. But from Tony Brown, because we've talked to Coach Witt about this, as well as Coach Quinn. So I'm going to answer this question in a moment. But it's going to be cold, and they play hard. It's December. People are playing for something. Everybody. So whether it's a contract, whether it's the playoffs, whether it's to keep a job, they're doing all the things. And so I want to go back to this, because all season long I've been sharing with you all that the team has a goal of 3 or more takeaways a game. I'm still waiting to see the 3 or more. They might still win the turnover battle, comparatively speaking, if they have more turnovers than the other team. But the reality is the goal is 3. Write that in your notebook, because it is a very, very important point. You all, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. This is fantastic. This is great. We have a great time. I love recapping the game with you all, especially doing it live. Sometimes you all ask me, what can I do to help? Or what can I do to support? Tell everybody about Bowie TV. That is what you can do. You can let them know Bowie TV is in the building. We have a ton of content. We're also on the ground with the Washington Commanders, on site, every practice, every press conference, unless I just got some crazy thing happening with my schedule. But more often than not, I am right there. You more than likely at this point in time hear my voice on press conferences, but we are in the building. You can also follow me on X at CWall SE. Make sure you're locked in, make sure you're subscribed, and go ahead and ask for us. There were actually many people, and shout out to all the Commanders fans that traveled to New Orleans. But I do want to thank all of the fans who approached me to tell me that they love my work. Seriously, it means the world to me. I hope that I'm glad that you all are getting what you need from this content, but hoping that through some of this, you're feeling like you're learning something new. You have a refreshed perspective or a different perspective that has you watching the game differently and using your clues. So with that being said, you all, thank you. And I will be talking to you all again soon.